getting some people with flashlights and some whole strong people back to the scene of the accident.
Well, it's good that you were able to, you know, under the circumstances, keep presence of mind to go for help like that.
I think it was too. I'm very glad that I am a vegetarian and don't have any kind of garbage in my system to keep me from thinking clearly, and I don't smoke funky cigarettes and such as that and have my system polluted. And I think that because of these factors, I was able, because I keep my health and because I maintain myself as pretty good, I was able to live through it, and I was able to go get help and get people back to help my friends, the ones that did live through the crash. And I will never change the way I live due to that very fact. But I did maintain my consciousness through the entire thing, during the impact, after impact, and I think I lost it a little bit on the way to the hospital. Just a little bit of shock set in, but I was just upset thinking about my friends.
That's to be, I think, understood. We had heard some mention of a possible large sum of money on board, Artimus. That
crap.
Pardon me?
That's, you know, any large sum of money on board might have come from the gig from the night before. It might have been receipts or, you know, things like that. I read the same thing in the paper about this possibility of a large amount of drugs and stuff like that, and all I got to say to that is, well, whatever I would say to that, I can't say on the air.
But the reason we were bringing this out is to know if possibly, you know, the charge of looting in the area is an accurate thing. In other words, if there was money on the plane that was not recovered. I don't know how quickly after the crash, you know, the area was cordoned off as to whether it could prevent looting. Any comment on that?
Yeah, you can just stop that rumor right now. That's my comment. You can just nip that right in the bud, man, because the people in this area have been nothing but the most beautiful people. I think, I'm not trying to be funny because there's nothing funny about what happened, but if Lynyrd Skynyrd, if we picked a place to crash, we picked a good place, because the people in this area have been nothing but generous and open and warm, and I'm sure the recovery time for my friends is going to be a lot less than what it would have been if we'd have crashed in some place where the people wouldn't have been as congenial, because everybody here, the doctors, the emergency teams, the people that got back there, the surrounding farmers, the nurses, and the hospitals, I haven't come in contact with anybody that hasn't been just open arms. And like I said, I didn't get hurt that bad myself. I was hurt and I can't move around real fast, but my friends got hurt bad. And the people in this area are just, all I can say is you're the best.
Artimus, on behalf of our listeners and the people in this area, I want to extend a thanks to you for making that comment. We saw the rescue efforts, you know, and we covered it throughout the night. In fact, our station was on the air up until about midnight, but we stayed here at the station because we were getting calls from all over the country and all over the world, as a matter of fact. We did up until about noon or 1 o'clock of the day after, all night long and all morning. You'd be surprised at the calls from large radio stations all across the country and personal managers and previous managers of your group, you know, different things like that. Tremendous amount of concern. We had a call from Radio Australia inquiring as to the condition of the group. So it was, everybody has been very much interested in knowing how you've been.
Well, that's real good to know. I've felt, as I'm sure everybody that was in that plane that night has felt, a lot of energy, and I mean energy from all over the world, and energy from all over the country here. A lot of energy, a lot of positive energy, people thinking about the group and thinking about the people that have already died from it. And, you know, I felt it, and they felt it, and I'm sure.
Let me ask this, Artimus. There was you mentioned a moment ago that just before the crash, your co-pilot, John, I think you called him, came back and said that you were going to crash. Did he return to the co-pilot's chair? I think when the rescue operations went into effect, they were found in opposite chairs, the pilot in the co-pilot seat and vice versa. And we were wondering if that was possibly from the impact.
Well, anytime you go from 160 miles an hour to 0 miles an hour in less than 8 seconds, you're going to have scrambling around a little bit. And I found both of them. I found John and Mac, our pilot and co-pilot. And I'll tell you what I think. I don't think John ever made it back to his seat, and so there's no telling what happened after we hit. So there's a good chance they could have switched around.
In other words, just about the time he came back to tell the group, the crash occurred, right?
I'd say in less than 40 seconds after he made the statement.
Was the group known as the Dingoes supposed to have been traveling with the Lynyrd Skynyrd band?
No.
They were, I think, on tour with you, weren't they?
No.
No? That's one of the calls we had from Australia, was inquiring about the Dingoes. There had been some word that they were with Lynyrd Skynyrd. Well, tell me this now, Artimus, and I'm going to let you go because I know that you've had a rough ordeal and you're tired. Could you give us some idea about future intentions? Is there any possible way that the group Lynyrd Skynyrd will continue, or what do you plan from here?
Well, I don't think that Ronnie Van Zant and Steve Gaines and Cassie Gaines, if the same thing would have happened to us, I don't think that they would have wanted to back off. And surely me and Alan and Gary and Leon and Billy and Leslie, our girl vocalist, as soon as we get back on our feet, as soon as everybody is totally and completely well, I know without a doubt in my mind that we are going to put it together. I don't care if we're called Lynyrd Skynyrd or the Survivors or whatever, but under whatever name that we go out under, I know that this group will perform again. And we're going to do it for one reason, and that's for Ronnie Van Zant and Steve Gaines and Cassie. And we're doing it, I say, for one reason, for them. Well, the one reason they did it was for you, and for a lot of people all over the world, people that like their music. Ronnie was the writer, and Steve was a writer. Our last album was written half by Ronnie and half by Steve, with a couple other folks thrown in there for some music. And Steve and Ronnie, as a loss of writers, they can't be replaced. Nobody can replace Ronnie or Steve in their style of writing. But Gary and Alan and Billy and myself and Leon, we've learned from them. We were given some insight, you know. And without a doubt, I don't care what people have heard on television, I say without a doubt that this band, whether under the name Lynyrd Skynyrd or whatever, will function again. And we will play again for people in the name of Lynyrd Skynyrd, whether that's the name of the band. Because, and I'll say this very openly, right here from this little town in Mississippi, I'll say that Lynyrd Skynyrd died in that plane crash. And that's all I can say about that, but we will be back.
Okay. As a group. We thank you very much, Artimus, and we wish the best to your group.